Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Skull and Bones. So this is your host, Cryptic Gaming. So we're going to play a little Skull and Bones here. There's quite a few questions been coming up. So I figured it might be time to start these live tutorials up so we can start helping some of the newer gamers coming in, or maybe some of the people just coming back. So as we're loading up here, I'm going to make sure that we are set up on our live stream properly. Looks like everything's good on this end. Okay, let's see. Here's my channel. Are we live? It looks like we're live there. Let me change that thumbnail out so people can find us. So it looks like it's war. So for those of you who are new or have been playing the game, you may have realized that the faction wars has been put on hold for now. They have a delay on it, mostly because it sounds like it wasn't quite what they were hoping for with the testing that came out through the PCs and stuff. And I'd heard a little bit from some of those testers, buddies that been kind of testing the game with over the years. But let me tell you, it's actually a really good thing to see that they pulled it back and they're waiting on this thing, because if it's not quite right and it's not really ready, it's better to not release it than to have a really bogus release on something. So really nice to see that they're going to take a little more serious here in the days ahead. Let me get this thumbnail swapped out here. Ahoy there, Blarney. How's it going, man? Okay, so up here and right there. I'm going to save that. Something I do need to do is double check and make sure I can hear my voice on this thing, because I had an issue here a while back where I was doing a live stream and no one could actually hear me. Alright, so I'm going to take that as that he can hear me. So we are going to get my chat set up here so I can see our chat a little better. And I think we're almost ready. But yeah, so they're going to postpone that. Now they said that the major features would be getting some delays to those. We're going to be seeing a week extension here on this season, and now I don't know exactly what they're going to bring out on the future information, but from what I've been Googling around and kind of searching around and asking around, it sounds like we're for sure going to get the officer system in season 3. So that's going to be awesome. Definitely looking forward to that. Now, my understanding of that is that officers going to have, like, we're going to be able to train some perks. But there's also talk that we may still be getting the hand-to-hand combat, because it was going to be an addition to, not necessarily a foundational stone of the faction war. So we should be still seeing that coming in season 3 from what it sounded like. Like I say, this isn't official stuff coming from Ubisoft. This is just what I'm hearing from testers and other streamers that I keep in contact with. But sounds like there's going to have some things for us. I know that was the kind of the major concern that most of us were having, is what are they going to have for us, so all right, so all that looks pretty good there. I'm not entirely sure why I can't bring up my chat. Let's see. I guess I'm gonna have to go in the long way. Here we go. That's got that there. But yeah, so also with the hand-to-hand combat, they were talking that there's going to be a tech tree, basically kind of what we see with the Helm. Whenever we go in there, we see that Helm tree. They're talking like there's going to be some kind of a tech tree that's going to be attached to the hand-to-hand combat, and that you're going to be able to tune it in to what type of ship you want, and tune not just your captain's rank and hand-to-hand stuff, but it's going to have other abilities in it. So it sounds like this game's really fixing to get a little bit deeper in the your controls and things that you can actually manipulate in the game. So that to me is going to be definitely worth looking forward to. I know a lot of us, we came into it and we like that serious gaming aspect where you can really get in there. All right, I finally found my chat. I apologize for that, guys. It's like I said, it's pops up on my screen here, but the PlayStation doesn't always post up the full question. So what I'm currently working on here in game, and I've just been playing it, and I usually do a lot of streaming on Twitch, but I figured I might go ahead and start doing some of that here on PlayStation, or I'm on YouTube. Now, what I'm currently working on is I'm trying to get my pieces of 8 back up, which we're up to about 9,800. Just been a bunch of it. Been getting all of my ships upgraded, so I've got 2 more left. Most of those are 15s now. How can you join me? You'd have to add me in game, man. Cryptic Gaming, just like the title for my YouTube here. You should be able to find me in the Ubisoft stuff. I'm on PlayStation now. I play PlayStation to PC, but if you add me in Ubisoft, you can typically find me. Or really the easiest way is to join into the Banished Souls Discord group. They have a lot of really cool things going on for people that are just coming into the game, helping them get caught up and helping them get to at least one level 15 ship. Most guys that have come over have maxed out several ships or even fleets of ships now. And that's kind of what I'm working on myself, is just so many things that it sounds like we may be headed to within that faction war system. The ability to be able to do attack and defense. Defense meaning that we can actually assign ships over to help, defend bases and stuff like that in the future. So that's going to be pretty cool. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, is just getting those ships upgraded. I'll show you kind of where we're sitting right now, but still got a long ways to go. We got quite a few 14s. These here just basically need me to come in and finish ascending some weapons and scheduling what type of weapons are on it, the 14s. All the 15s are complete builds ready to go. And I got, looks like we've got a Patty. I think we've got a barge over here. No, it's a Hulk, a sloop, a sandbuck, snow, looks like a brigantine, and a couple of healers. I'm going to make a war bark, or a battle bark, and a healer bark. And these will just be some standby ships. One to help pick up a lot of stuff. I'll post that Discord link up too for anyone who's wanting a Discord link. I said these guys, they do a great job, and we're also we're getting back into, because of the activity within the Discord, we're going to start the events again. So there's quite a few guys getting those going. We've been discussing some events, and when it comes down to it, people may imitate what they hear what we're going to do, but imitation is rarely as cool as the actual thing. So one of the things we're looking at is creating a faction war system within the game itself through the Discord, because there's some guys who want to go campaign royale. I can understand it. There's some people who want to go DMC. I can understand it. Then there's the people who don't want to do either one, and that's up to them however they want to do it. So what we've got in mind is you can get the campaign royale flags, but at the very least people can use just a white flag, meaning you don't assign one, or a dark colored flag, whether it's dark blue or black or whatever, doesn't matter. But they're basically like shirts versus skins type thing. And having battles outside of fort areas, really nice fort areas. So if you're on the attacking side, you would have to put on like your bloody red furniture. You would have to then put on your cursed banner. That makes it so that the forts and the actual NPC ships that are supposed to be defending the fort are attacking the attackers and not the defenders, and the defenders don't have to put that on, and you fight with your base and with the NPC ships. So that's one of the things we got kind of going on that is coming down the pipe right now. You have to get with Rat, Classless Marine, some of those guys that are heading up those events. And if you're looking to volunteer to help with stuff like that, definitely get with Rat, and make sure you talk to Sirius too, because those guys are the ones who are running all of this stuff in the Discord, and they're doing a fantastic job of it. And it's nice to see those events coming back in. So with those events, obviously you're getting training for what it is you want to do to fight what type of ships and stuff. And then for those who don't want to start it, maybe we create a rogue element where you can have a team of 3 coming in right in the middle of those battles and attacking everybody. So that could always be an aspect we could add into it as well. So a lot of great things coming down the pipe. They're talking about some boat races and stuff, PvP tournaments, getting those started back up. I know we had one of the biggest tournaments going at one time, and it was paid way up into tens of millions of silver and all kinds of weapons and special materials and stuff. Last year we were getting into it all, and Sirius was the guy who set up all those things. He is now the guy who runs the Discord. So, like I said, a lot of great ideas going to be coming down the pipe. and always looking for talent who wants to help with these types of things. And I did post that Discord link in there, guys. So I'm just going to be doing some basic farming here, and we'll talk about it as we go. But I do recommend that you get your Helm tree done if you haven't yet. And here's why. You've got plenty of time in this season. Basically, Season 2 is in a holding pattern right now. Hey, all right, Sermons. You already joined Discord. All right. So one of the cool things about this is I like to come in here and I get my materials going as far as like my helm and stuff like that. Well, that's always going to keep me fine on silver. As long as I have gold skull materials, the black snuff, the silver snuff, the blue opium or the black opium, the white skull products, as long as I have some of each of those, I always have a way to get silver currency in the game. And the best way to do that, now you can run these roving things, and I do. I add those into my grinds. Typically, I'll come up and I'll start with my fort. So as I'll come in, and if we're lucky, man, we keep getting that raw Imperial Jade. It doesn't pay as much, but we'll go ahead and take it anyway. And Dooster. Okay, so it looks like we've got a few up in Granby to start with. So we're going to hit those forts. And essentially what this does is just gives you material. But if you will get your helm upgraded here, so the very top track, this is the cheapest area to upgrade. Getting it to 1s, you don't have to have it all the way to 3s, but this gets you started to create white skull products, your entry level stuff. Now to get the final stage, you have to make sure you're branching into these other branches here, and you have to have the one before it completed, which means you have to actually follow the 3, at least get it to 1 of 3 in order to be able to open up certain aspects. You can't just jump around on there and upgrade it. So there was a couple questions about that, so I wanted to make sure you have to open those things up. Now if you're doing captured territories, Helm Empire is where you're looking at. If you're doing trade, the Helm, which is your products and stuff that you create for the Helm, is its own tree up at the top. So, and then of course you have your factions to the right and left. But there's your Empire down below, and this is the Helm where you make your laboratory and your distilleries. And if you don't have that top tree filled out, you cannot get the gold skull products. So the best way to do that, the best way to get those pieces of 8 is to grind the game, and that is just very simple stuff. I mean, there's really nothing to grinding it. You're hitting some of the Fangs of Fire and stuff. I mean, that's really probably the easiest way to get pieces of 8, and it doesn't take long at all. And you can do it in Tier 1, you can do it in Tier 2. When it's Tier 2, there's times I recommend you need to be in Tier 2. 1, to complete your pass and things like that, you're going to level out quicker. You're going to get your infamy quicker because you get paid more on it. But when it comes to just basic farming, like hitting some forts, I say go into Tier 1. The reason for that is you're using less cannonballs. It's going a lot quicker. You're getting the exact same type of materials. Unless you're talking Mega Fort Houston, at which point World Tier 2 does give you better materials as far as, you can get those upgrade parts. You could get some of the Ascension modules from some of the ships that come around stuff. If you're looking for Ascension modules, just go into World Tier 2 down by Grand Fillets and shoot every ship that you see in the water. You can scope them out and see what's got, the ascended weapons. But that's the best way, is just sinking those ships, taking those weapons, salvaging them out. That's really the quickest way to get that kind of stuff. But if you stick with getting your helm done, you're going to be able to free yourself up to do a little bit more fun type objects and things, a little more grind specific, and you can pick up things running it as well. So let's see, we're going to set sail here. Looks like we're going to Granby, or Fort Granby. But I've heard, every iteration of advice when it comes to the Helm. What's the best way to start off? I always start people off capturing stuff in Red Isle. I understand the Indies pays more, yada, yada, yada. I think a lot of people, unless you go back and you start with just an entry-level boat, we've kind of forgotten to feel what some of these guys are seeing, and they've got a little bit more of a ramped-up enemy than we do, because you got us level 15s, and the servers are trying to stack up to it, and you got level 4 players coming across level 12 and 13 boats, and it's getting pretty rough for them. The hardest thing we had on the waters before we started getting bosses like Lepest was those level 10 rogues, and I remember so many people complaining about those, and I just looked at it that it took a few more cannonballs to chew through them if you learn how to brace and stuff properly. But A lot of these guys are coming in and they're having some problems grinding out some of this stuff. That's why I say don't start in the indies if you're a very low level and you can. Once you get to Kingpin, start with the Red Isle. You're going to build up. You're going to get used to a few things. But if you have a level 13 boat, then yeah, you can jump over to the indies. But you're not going to come over and start taking on Megafort Houston or even Deuster, things like that in a level 9 boat. It's just not going to happen. You need to get that boat level up. I've seen a lot of people that are Kingpins and they're trolling around in a level 9 boat. I've seen a few level 12s, not many level 13s coming out of some of the newer players. And part of that is they don't have a team to grind with or to help them with some of the heavier grinding. There's quite a bit of grinding that comes to some of that stuff. I mean, even now, I can go in, I can solo Houston easy in Tier 1. We used to be able to do it pretty easy in Tier 2, and you can still do it, but it is not as easy as it used to be. You have to be pretty careful in what it is you're doing. I always get that cutscene. I love it. Just enough to get you killed, you know. But yeah, everybody kind of has their own little way of playing, but I think that it's important for us to remember kind of where we were. I mean, we used to pull servers of, 18, 19, 20 people sometimes just to take out LePest back in the day. Now, of course, we go in and we can solo him now, but most of new players, they don't have the ships and the weapons we have, so we got to kind of jump in, help where you can. But on the same note to new players, if you see, your level 15 guys that are coming up and you're hitting an event, if you want to join them in that event, then definitely join them and put out as much damage as you can. The people who come up and they pick a shot and they sit off to the side and let you fight everything after they, scale that enemy up, it's not very considerate of your fellow players. So you may not realize that's what's been happening, but that happens to a lot of people. It makes a lot of gamers mad. I just look at it that most people just don't know, and that's why I mentioned it in the video. So hey, here's what we're looking at. People don't mind if you join up, but if you're going to join up, fight alongside. Don't pick a shot or just sit off somewhere. Every enemy scaling because you would now be in a team. And if you're sitting off somewhere just waiting for chests to drop, it's not. I don't play that way. If you want to farm it, I'll farm it with you, but you're going to be there shooting cannonballs with me, I don't usually just go out and farm stuff. Now, there are people that I game with, like the Discord owner and stuff like that. We'll team up, do some farming. Like, we'll break off to separate events. That way we're dropping more during that time that we're farming. And you can do that with kind of focused farming. And that's really the best way to do it. That way you're opening more stuff up, dropping more chests. One guy's working on bosses, the other one's working on sea monsters, and then the other one's working on the bounties and stuff like that. So those are some great ways to grind with your friends. So I do recommend that you do that kind of stuff as well. Running these forts, this is a great way. I mean, that's part of the pass thing. I think it's even weekly where you do 10 plunders. Well, this is considered a plunder. Plus, we're getting those Helm materials and stuff. I'm pretty sure we're at the right fort. Let me double check. Yeah, we're at the right one. There's another Granby just down a little further, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. But yeah, I can remember back in the day, we used to pull, 6, 7, 8 of us, and we'd come out and we'd run these contracts, and everyone would carry a contract. And back in the day, it used to double the product that you would get from it. And I really wish Ubisoft would go back to some of that stuff. That was, to me, was the cool thing to do it. They've made the Helm harder to achieve, and now we're even harder to get the materials. So used to a mark for death on you would basically make it so that the Helm rogues would chase you around, and you could get 20, 30, sometimes even 40 pieces of some type of material from sinking a rogue. Here lately, all I get is ammo from them, a ballista crate or something like that, So they've reduced some of those payouts on that type of stuff. I hope they get back to it. Hey, welcome there, Fenor. But yeah, so there's a lot of things that they're working on within the system. So those are some of the suggestions that I gave in. Definitely mention in the comments, things that y'all want to see. Whenever those comment cards come out, I always try to make sure that, fill them out, get with some of the viewers, see what it is, people that are playing. Obviously, we want to hear from both aspects, people who've been here a while. Of course, I know the number one thing everyone wants faction wars, and I'm in that boat with you. But I'd rather faction wars be a solid, complete, type addition to the game rather than, death tides. I mean, I don't mean to hate on the death tides PvP, but man, it really, until they get it where I can load up with the Banished Souls crew, and that's who I'm playing with, and we're going against other people. I just don't have much use for it. I like to play with. We've got our battle strategies and stuff. A lot of us of how and our builds set up, and every now and then you get lucky and you can join it. So hopefully they're working on it. That's one of the things that they mentioned they're hoping to get done during this period here. So I think it'd be great if they could get that done before Faction Wars comes out, because that would additionally, I would think, be something part of Faction Wars and making sure your teams are set. Because when you're in PvP, you've got a PvP flag raised up in this map. If you have that, only the people in your PvP team can heal you. They can't heal anybody else that's outside of that team. They have to, that's the way it works. And hopefully they get our 5 versus 5 like they've talked. There's been discussions of 8 versus 8 coming. The only one that I know of for sure was back in the day they were going to put a 5 versus 5 PvP system in, which we was supposed to be able to load up in groups of 5. I've not seen that happen yet, but there's discussion of it still coming. So we see it coming into aspects such as this Elite Dangerous Vikram over here, where you load in 5 people. Well, you can't load in 5 people of your own. You could be in a team of 3 and join and call off to a bunch of guys in your group, and everybody kind of join at the same time, and you might get all 5 of your own guys there. But hopefully they're going to work that out where we can actually load 5 in. So they're just working on it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's important that, we've all been through the dry areas of waiting on content for not just this game, but any game. And it can get really frustrating. I've seen player ships drop off and things like that on games in the past, and then it comes back. That's just one of those things where if you're caught up, you're caught up. Just things happen. But I try to look at all aspects of the game where it could be heading and try to make sure that I'm situated. Now, I don't play it 5 hours a day in a row without getting off or anything like that anymore, like I used to when you're grinding out new content. But there's some people that would grind it out for like 72 hours straight with no sleep. So that was one of our dudes in the Discord, Triton. He is just a beast when it comes to grinding out new content. So he was up. He was the very first person in the game to open up the level 15 frigate. It was just insane. It just kept at it. I don't think the boy slept at all. But yeah, so he ended up finally getting that, and then obviously more people followed. But it's pretty cool to see people get into grinds. I know I was into it pretty heavy. I wasn't going without sleep or nothing like that. I had reduced my sleep pattern and got mine within, I don't know, probably 24 hours after he'd opened his up. So I wasn't too far behind, but I wasn't really trying to be the first person like that. I just don't have that in me. That kind of grind, man. I'm old. I gotta have my naps throughout the day. You know what I mean? But it's nice to see what ships he had. Some pretty cool builds and stuff coming out, and it's been kind of playing with a little bit. It's like this here. I've got Basilisk. I played around with the Urban Great Gun a little bit, and they're not bad, man. They hit really nice. About the same amount of damage, honestly, between this and the Basilisk when they're upgraded. They hit really nice. They do have that cell tear effect on it. My only problem with it was when you miss big, and you miss big a lot. What we got here? It's like a blueprint. We already have that. Okay. But yeah, so that's kind of what I was looking at with that. So I can try. I mean, I can always throw that on if y'all want to see it. But I put some videos out. But it's all right gun. It's just like anything that fires in unison. But you have it's a pretty quick reload on it. To me, I miss more with it than I do with the Basilisk, so I switched back to Basilisk because even if you hitting for one spot, they have a tendency not to aim the same way as a single shot. So I just kind of stick with this and go from this. But still, it's a nice one when you're going against large ships. It's pretty easy to hit the large ships with it. See, sleep and coffee. Yeah, I got to have sleep and coffee. You got to have both. I tried some of them energy drinks here a while back. Well, I say a while back. It's been a few years back. I don't know. I never cared much for the flavor of them. They just seemed like liquid heartburn. I mean, if that was the point, was to give you heartburn so you can't sleep, the drinks are a success. But I just never could get into it. I tried some different ones at Rockstar. It was okay. It had better flavor probably than obviously like the monster drinks. Those that original, the green one, the acidic vomit looking colored, that stuff there used to give me such wicked heartburn. Yeah, it'd keep me up, but not because I had energy. It just heartburn central. Red Bull, that was basically like a 5-hour heartburn. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what energy drinks are supposed to do. But me, I'd rather just a really nice cup of coffee. And it don't even have to be high dollar coffee, just whatever's cheap. I'm not too worried about it at all. As long as it tastes like coffee, it can be crystals, you know what I mean? The instant crap. But yeah, I've just been kind of watching these prices of coffee. They're really not too bad. I mean, they're not obviously what they were 20 years ago, but yeah, what are we going to hit next? I got another base here. Oh, there it was. So you can either zoom in or you can switch over to this. I can really do it either way. So we got Picasso. I think there's a fast travel right here. We're going to take and travel to this, and then we'll just travel north to Picasso. And I can't remember if there was one at Helm or not. I think it was Delis. I don't remember. Let's look. There's Deuster and... oh, I guess it's just this and Deuster. Okay. Well, that'll be easy enough. Okay, here we go. I turned a lot of my volumes back up on game. I used to turn a lot of like the crew bark and stuff like that way down. And that was when I was first starting off. And I finally turned it up. It does add a new, that extra dimension to the game, but it used to drive me nuts. You'd be in the middle of a really bad battle and the crew screaming one thing, then the other quartermaster screaming something else. I might turn that down. But I got a dump cargo here. Yeah, see, I don't care about the raw Imperial Jade. It's mostly just used for boosting stuff. I'll grab it when it's there, but I don't hardly ever actually take and refine that stuff, mainly because it doesn't really pay that much. So oh yeah, always trying to do. I know there wasn't a lot of actual gaming, tutorials or anything on this game, so that's one of the things I wanted to make sure that I got a grasp on some of the mechanics could share. Now, obviously, the intro from the beginning to where we're at now is kingpins and stuff. It sounds to me like they've actually really expedited that, where it's pretty quick that you hit kingpin. Now, it used to be, you had to play for 2 or 3 days to get to a kingpin level. And then it took a little bit longer to kind of get the hang of what was going on. And the system within the Helm has been changed so many times here, really since the release of the game, the way it does, to having auto collects, to ships you can send out, and all the different aspects of it. And now we have this new tree and all. So that's pretty cool. I enjoy the tree aspect of the game. I mean, anytime you start putting tech trees in, they're pretty neat. It costs a little bit more, I think, to finish the Helm off than it used to. Definitely took longer with the lower payouts, but it does seem more balanced. I mean, we used to get into multi-millions of 8s and just buy every special material that you need to have, and it really got to where we didn't really have to grind for much of anything. I mean, new items and stuff that would come in the game, but that was about it. And that's kind of where a lot of us are. You'll hear people complaining about things within the grind system. And that's simply because we've ground so much stuff over the years that we don't really need a whole lot of stuff. And I think for me, at least, I can't speak for anybody else, I kind of had forgotten how to play the game and actually just enjoy it, And rather than look at what it was or what I wished it was, just coming in and enjoying it, It's going pretty good there, Sergio. How have you been doing? But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been really just getting back into. Just wanted to get back into gaming really good, and that was why I started all this back up here a while back. And sometimes you get frustrated with certain things, but I just look at it this way: if they come out with new content material, it'll give us something to talk about. If not, hey, I'm still gonna play the game. Might even live stream on occasion. Gives me a chance to get to know everyone who's watching. A lot of the folks in Banished Souls are viewers, but we've got folks from all over the world. We've got people that watch multiple streamers. We've actually got multiple streamers in Banished Souls. That's kind of what the dream was, to always have an area for multiple streamers to come in, and then guys wanting to run aspects of games. And I mean, they got quite a few first-person shooter games cooking over here in the community here lately. And I've been looking at one that one of the guys had mentioned called Ready or Not. That actually, I played the Battlefield 6, and man, the graphics are awesome on it. The gameplay seems smooth, but I am not a young man of 20s anymore, and getting close to the 50s. And my eye-hand coordination is so far off. My reflexes are way down. I think I did pretty good inside the tank, where you manning the machine gun on the top of the tank. But just open running combat, I may as well hang that up. These guys are way too fast, especially when you start putting cross-play in and you're playing against people with computers and stuff. It's quite a bit of stuff to deal with. So I don't know that I'll be getting no Battlefield 6, but that Ready or Not, that actually looks pretty good. I'm waiting to see more videos on it and hear a little bit more information about it. But it's basically building your own SWAT team that you go into these situations and stuff, first-person shooter stuff. So, but my understanding is it's a co-op game. It's not a SWAT team against, say, a bunch of other players. It'll be against a set of AI NPCs. So that'll actually be a pretty cool situation. And they're supposed to be able to adapt to your own gameplay. I don't know. It sounds like a pretty interesting game with a lot of adaptive measures on it. So that may be something I check out. But I tried a game the other day that just I was really had high hopes for. It was Neverwinter, and it was the definitive edition. They had remastered everything and made it so it's going to be where you can play cross-platform, and it was every one that they had put, but it wasn't based off the Neverwinter line I had played years ago. It was a little bit different. It was almost point and click. Yeah, good team is a must. Yeah, man, that's what I've heard is you need to make sure that you have good teams when you're doing that. So, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. But my dumb butt, I went ahead and bought the Neverwinter pack, and I played about 20 minutes of it, and I was like midstream over on Twitch, and I was just finally just like, man, I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it's got to keep my attention, and I was not attentive to that game at all. It was just lame, I thought. But I hate to say that. If you enjoy Neverwinter, hey man, that's more power to you. It's something that just couldn't catch my attention. I don't know if I wasn't doing something right. It was taking the story too long to get started, let alone unfold. And I don't know. It was just mostly walking around. I guess maybe it was a tutorial. But well, Savage, all you got to do is add me in game, man. I'll show you how to do that real quick. When you come up here and you go to your friends list here. It's no, that ain't how it's done. Hang on a second. How do we do this? It's been so long since I've added anybody. Yeah, Ubisoft Connect. When you go into Ubisoft Connect, type in Cryptic Gaming 723. It's probably just under Cryptic Gaming, but add the 723 and it'll bring it up one way or the other. But I think I got rid of the 723 on this. I think the 723s is only Xbox and PlayStation now, only because it was the original thing that I had back in the day, and I'm too cheap to pay money. I think you can pay $5 to change your gamer tag on there. I don't know. I've heard you can do it after 3 months or something. I don't know, but I'm too cheap to really mess with it. Yeah, I do a lot of solo play. We have events we play over in the like I say, with the Discord. One of the big ones we used to do is just open farming Houston, and in tier 2 I think they still do that, but I think most people have moved into just grid patterns, farming stuff out, kind of like how I just jump between events. And you could either do a focus grind on looking for one particular currency, or do an inclusive grind that includes everything. I mean, for every one of these things we hit, we're earning, I think it's 100 SP, if I'm not mistaken, in the smuggler system. It seemed like they bumped that to 100. I don't know. We'll see when it completes here. And I think they're 150 in tier 2. So you can run them in tier 2, but it seemed like it was 180 or 100 here in tier 1. And I just use it to run my contracts. That's going to give me my Helm materials. I don't know what they've got planned as far as some of the currencies and stuff. I know whenever they start talking a lot of quality of life adjustments in this game, and we've been seeing that in quite a few things. You're checking the game out, looking at the quality of life adjustment that's coming. That typically means a silver reset to a certain degree, and it's usually, if I recall, 30 million. It might have been 10 million. I don't recall exactly where we got reset last time. And each time that's happened, and each time we've seen that, and again, not saying for sure it's going to, just relaying what I've seen and what I'm hearing. Certain keywords that you start hearing, and when they start talking quality of life, it typically means either one, they're going to cut back the amount of pieces of 8 we earned, and they've already done that so much they had to start bringing it the other way. I think essentially what we're looking at is there's probably going to be a silver reset. And the reason for that is apparently there's an exploit going around. People can bump, I'm not going to go over the details of it, but they can bump, several millions worth of silver in just a couple of minutes, and whenever stuff like that starts spreading around in the game, you end up with a big reset right after. So I fully expect we're going to end up seeing a silver reset, because there was no aspect of this game where that was supposed to be the way you get silver. So, and the fact that it's been happening so much here lately, we started to see like the pricing of stuff going back up. When you go from people asking 5 million for something to suddenly they're asking 15 million or 20 million or 100 million, it's because there's an exploit going around. So, and that is what ended up happening. One of the big people that filmed the videos and stuff, they'd put it up on theirs, and man, it took off like wildfire. We started hearing about it in the Discord stuff, and like said, don't talk about that kind of stuff. Hey, there's Savage right there. We got that accepted there. So, what people talk about in game on their own is their own things, but we don't usually spread that kind of stuff around just because as long-term players, we've put a lot of work into what we've got. But it's fine. Like I say, one of the reasons I push people to get their Helm, at least their skull products done, is because when stuff like that does happen, and it happens, you will always have a source of silver where you're not sitting there scratching your head going, oh, I wished I'd have done something different. What could I have invested it in or something like that? And you could always, was it the 723? Okay. Yeah. So you can always come in here and grind anything and everything you want, but really grabbing contracts, running plunders, you're getting points from everything, guild system, everything, infamy for blowing up ships. You're picking up materials from your Helm. There's just so much stuff that you can do with it. Okay, let's head back here, and then we're going to go to Dooster. Turn. Now, I don't know about y'all, but they put in that they were doing a update last night. So I'm assuming that update took place. But to me, the ship, at least the frigate, seems twitchier than usual. Like even maybe worse than it was when it first come out. And the reason I say that is when I'm like anchored, I could see it like twitch to the left or start twitching back to the right. Just sitting anchored, it's like instead of just moving smooth, it's actually like twitching. And I don't know, that just kind of drives me nuts. So hopefully they get this situated. They said they had to go in and really do some deep searching on this thing, because apparently it was a deep-rooted issue within all ship mechanics from small all the way up to large, and you just notice it more on the large, so they want to get it addressed across the whole way. So that would be cool. I mean, definitely want to see it. Oh yeah, you can add your people on Ubisoft. That's the way we all find each other in the game now. When the game gets real full, like Friday nights and stuff, uh, just being honest with everybody, not complaining. You know, when you find your list here, don't be surprised if everyone on your Ubi list is not on here, or it takes a while for it to show up. Because what ends up happening is the servers are so full, it chokes things down. So something you may have to look at. But yeah, so you see, there's always, I mean, everyone that's on here is part of the Discord. So there is groups even right now out here farming. So we got full groups, partial groups. A lot of guys will keep it down to like 2 guys so you can join over and then, you know, hop out, more folks can come in type deal. So, but yeah, so that's typically how we move around. But if you're on other consoles or joint consoles like PlayStation and Xbox, make sure you add them on that friends list too, just in case the Ubi Friends thing isn't loading up, or Ubi Connect as they call it. So those are ways that we find everybody, and sometimes you'll get lucky and be in the right place. But typically, if you stick around, one of the hardest things I think right now is for us to find a server that we can populate quickly. There's still quite a few people that play these games. I've not seen an empty server or a server below 13 since, you know, at a long time. So still a lot of folks playing it, but typically when we're trying to find a server and stuff, we'll usually be in a tier 2 situation and see what the heck we can find. But obviously one of the big things that we've been running into here lately is our Houston Fort grind has been kind of, I don't know if y'all have noticed or not, it's not been too, man, you know, we could run a takeover over there. I want to get this done so I can get back to my normal stuff. So yeah, so kick me a invite on PS5 also, man. That way you can find you on there. Let's see, I think we managed cargo. I'm pretty sure. I get to talking sometimes and forget to play. I know that's bad. You know, back in the day, I had originally tried to get Cryptic Gaming going off, and it was long before it was Banished Souls and all that back in the day. And I'd done like went all out, made these LED style lights, and had added in the buzzing effects and stuff. It took a lot to do, but was able to get that set up pretty nice. And I was going to do, what was that game? I was the Harry Potter series, Hogwarts Legacy. That's what it was. I was like, this would be kind of a cool game to play, which it was only single player, unfortunately, but still it was a popular game. But you could go and you could build your characters out and things like that to a degree. It wasn't as in-depth as we would have liked. But I remember it went through, my biggest video back in those days was like, I think I had 12 views over a period of 3 months. So it did not take off very well at all. So I ended up, I was Hillbilly VR for once, for a while. I was going there, Big Murder. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting to just kind of have a little fun with it and all. But yeah, man, that VR stuff, it was kind of interesting. I had Oculus, I had PSVR, and there was another one. I don't even remember what it was, but I streamed that for a while. But I went with Hillbilly VR is what it was, and the voice I always used was the Hillbilly voice. That didn't go over very well either. It probably would have been fine if I'd used my normal voice, which really isn't too far off from a Hillbilly. I'm doing good, man. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think had a little bit of fun back in the days. Then just showing like my projects I was doing around the house as far as like the chickens and quail and some gardening and stuff, solar panels and stuff. And just kind of did that for a while. But after a while, the neighbor's dogs came and killed all my chickens. And then ended up having some health issues. So I was like, well, it's time to switch off of this and try something else. So I went back into gaming, and this was the game I had been waiting on for a long time. I'd waited on this game since 2000, ended 2012, first part of 2013. Whenever it was, it first hit that Portland Expo. I remember it was cold out, so it may have been the beginning of 2013 because it was definitely winter time and well within the winter time because it was I mean, I was freezing my dad's off standing out there waiting for that thing to open up. Guy gave me some tickets to get in, which you don't know. I'd never been to a gaming expo or anything like that. And I'm like, well, how early do I need to get there? He said, talk like people are camping out and all this kind of crap. Well, I'm out there. The thing is, if you got a ticket, you've got an entry. You get to come in. And I had like an all access ticket this guy gave me. And it was pretty cool. This was one of the games they showcased. It was totally different though than what we have now. Started playing during the Xbox. Yeah, heck yeah. Yeah, I've enjoyed the game. I love the large ships. To me, it makes it have a little more pirate feel because you have a large ship, And I've still got that area of wall to take out here. I think I just shot the wrong area of the wall too. I did. No, I get it. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. But like I say, back in those days, it was quite a bit different. They had a different layer of the game. This is more of a PvE, and they were showing a PvPvE area, which I'm assuming took place in that northern map because they called it the Indian Ocean, which the map had this weird design, and it was the lower half that was shaded back in those days. And you could like build up a fleet and assign it to defend a fort, and then people would come in and try to attack it and stuff. And I was on that thing like all day playing that game. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully that's what we're going to see in this. What they had talked about those days was that the fleets that I was building out would actually be ships that would be donated by people inside of a guild. So if they actually do that, they are going to have. But they already have a game that no one else has out. I mean, name one pirate game out here that has this type of graphics and level of gameplay. There's not. I mean, I've played Sea of Thieves, and for what it was, it's what I call a griefer's dream of a game. If all you want to do is go and be a true pirate and mess with everyone who's actually trying to accomplish some missions, that's a great game to do because you can be a pirate and really get on some people's nerves. God knows I got on plenty of people's nerves on that game. I couldn't play it on a serious level, mainly because at the time I was just mostly playing with my nephews, and the oldest one, he liked to set the deck on fire or set the inner galley on fire, and you'd see him jumping off the boat like, what's going on? And the next thing you know, there's flames coming up across the boat and stuff like that. So you can't really play it on a full level. So but to keep him entertained and engaged, we just went around and just full on pirated people. We had absolutely no achievements of any kind when it came to completing anything that the game had set as a task other than aggravating the crap out of other people. So we were pretty good at that. But this game here, to me, had an aspect where, you see where your ships, you have multiple character builds, which is essentially what your ships are. It's just different characters. Maybe you wanted a healing character in a MMO RPG or something like that. And I know they call this an ARPG. You're still a role-play game. You have an avatar to interact around the world, which is your captain, but your ships are your characters, and you can really build some really cool stuff. I do like the arsenal loadout, which is pretty cool. One thing I'm trying to do though is I want to try and have a ship build where I have arsenal loadout for certain ships, but I don't want to have just one ship and I have a bunch of loadouts for it. I like to have at least two of everything. There are a few ships I've only built one of, like the brig. I've got one and that's enough. The battle junk, that one is a really great ship for using as a DPS tank. I've got one of those built. I think I'm going to do another one, but I haven't decided if I want to bother with one of those or just do another tank build on the frigate, and donate that to the community, whatever they get this faction war thing going on. That's kind of what I'm looking at, is I'm building a bunch of ships. That way, if they do give us that aspect, I've already got ships ready to go, and we can donate it straight in. That's going to give this community a really big boost over anyone else because we've already got ships ready to go. So, but I'm sure there's other players out there that's got the same thing in mind. We'll just have to wait and see. But mostly I like to talk about some of the things that may be coming into the game and things that we're hearing, simply because it gives me hope that, we're heading in the right direction with some things. Before we had actually heard any official news, that's one of the things I'd talked with our Discord leader about, just that had been hearing a lot of really good things, and some of the stuff I had been hearing unless something drastic happens, it was not sounding like it was going to be much of a release for Faction Wars. It sounded like it was really just some sugar flake frosting as far as you could join DMC or Campaign Royale, and then all you could essentially do is just go hit the DMC convoy or the Campaign Royal convoy or the Rempa or Clan Farah or Unguana, which was kind of lame. I mean, if that was the only way to rank up within your faction is that way, that would have not went very well at all. Now, there's nothing wrong with having that aspect in it, but they needed to have, like, for PvPs, that I know hostile takeovers and defenses, those are something that they had scheduled for Season 4, according to the original card. So we know we're going to eventually get that way, but as to what the full dynamics of the game is going to be, it's hard to say. I've not heard any testing on those stages coming out yet. I am signed up for those things, and hopefully we'll be hearing on something here soon. Would be great. The sooner we hear something, I mean, we're getting close to having a solution, but if we're not even having tests right now, then we're not really at a solution point. I noticed that they haven't released a new card. That's actually a good thing for a lot of people wondering what's going on with the roadmap card that comes out. Obviously, the other one is not currently active or valid anymore, so there's been some delays, but they haven't released a new one. So hopefully that means that they're trying. I know there's been rumor that people are saying they're trying to get the Faction Wars pushed out right at the beginning of Season 3. I've not heard that. I watched the deck like most everybody else, and my understanding is all the major features are on hold or delayed, not really canceled, just on delay until the better foundation can be built for this stuff. And then it will actually obviously tweak up some of the other content a little bit. So it could be a good thing. We could see some really nice contents coming in. Or we might not see anything until year 3. And I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you, that would not surprise me. In fact, I almost expect that that's what they're going to do. But as long as it's good content, it doesn't matter. There's still things they can release in. Like we got the Corvette coming in Season 4, a Hunter's Dow, Hunter's Guild, which is going to open up a new method of hunting. When I say hunting, we're talking about going shark hunting and whale hunting. If you ever play Black Flag, it's going to make it a little bit, you're going to have a different type of a Hunter's Dow. You're going to be able to use a different setup to go shark hunting and stuff like that. But you also get a Kraken. Season 3, it sounds like for sure the officer system. Still kind of flaky on whether or not it's going to have the hand-to-hand. Sounds good for it, but we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there's people saying it's not part of the major features and that it'll be included in it. I didn't say that on the deck. What I did see on the cards for the roadmap of last year is it says that the major feature is going to be the head-to-head combat for that season. So, like I said, I would be surprised to see that, but there's talks that it's going to be here because it's not actually tied in directly to just the Faction Wars, that it's going to be something they were bringing to the game completely. Now, as to whether or not that means I can get off this island and start fighting any pirate I come across, or is it going to be more of which is the way I expect it to be, more of a Death Tides PvP, but on an island with people using swords and guns. The flintlocks and stuff like that, which is what I fully expect it's going to be. Is it's not going to be fluid within just the game itself as of yet. It's going to be getting tested, which is essentially what Death Tides is it's testing a PvP setup based off of what they're seeing in those numbers. They're then tweaking the PvE area to test our boats against that, and then it will eventually release a player versus environment type of a map in the northern section once they have all the balance numbers in, is what I expect is going to happen. But we'll have to wait and see what they end up doing. I know seeing Death Tides is still considered beta. It tells you it's a aspect that's going to be built upon. It's not necessarily a finished product, and they even tell you that. See, it's not necessarily polished yet. It's just something they're using for testing, but there should be a Death Tide aspect within the game. Now, back in the day, Hunting Grounds is what the northern map is called. If you ever want to look up some of the cool battles, there are a ton of them on YouTube as well. I think there were people with PCs that had those capture cards, the way they were able to do that. But yeah, so they have those. You can watch it. It's called the Hunting Grounds. So Skull and Bones Hunting Grounds, definitely check that stuff out. I fully expect we're going to see some of that coming into it. And some of it will be attack and defense, so make sure that you check those out too. So, and the way it used to work is there was a attack and defense aspect. Everyone would load in certain ships that you wanted loaded in. If you remember, you see where you load your own ship into Death Tide stuff, it would load it into a queue, and then you would select who's in what wave, yada yada yada. As the one wave's being killed out, the next wave is loading in type deal. And even if wave one ended, if you were still surviving, when the people released in the wave two, it just meant you had more ships on the board. And it would be cool if they go back to that. It would be surprising if they don't, mainly because they specifically mentioned they wanted to go back to some more of the more successful aspects that they had of the early tests. And those were the early tests of it. And they were probably some of the most welcome of all of the different testings and stuff that I've been a part of over the years. But yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. So I do recommend that you go check out those videos of those things. I wished I had some, but you know, it's one of those things. I always took those non-disclosures important. You know, that they were important. I don't do a lot of testing as of now, but hey, when it comes to videos and people want to post it, I watch it. It don't bother me at all. So now I do believe that is all of that. It looks like Sirius has joined in. I didn't even see him join in. I think that was the last territory there. We'll double check. Yep, that's it. Okay. Oh man, come on, get off the island. There we go. Yeah, so turning isn't as sharp, obviously, with this ship, but you can still turn pretty good if you got enough speed. You can swing out on that chain and get turned around pretty good, pretty sharp. But if you're going for a very shallow turn, it's going to be one of those things where you got to drop sail and kick back up. A lightened mast or a balanced mast can make my turn and drop the sail probably a little faster, but I don't really want to give up on any of my DPS stuff because the ship doesn't have a lot of DPS value to itself. Where I guess that they kind of say that it does is the fact that you have so many guns on the broadsides. So you could use something like a Culverin, which has, you know, essentially one of the lower DPS outputs as far as the base damage, but I should say lowest damage aspect on the output, but damage per second when it's set up right with the right amount of guns, you're going to put out more damage within that second than you can, you know, using something else with a really low reload time. So let's see what we got here. Dump all this mess. Okay, so that's got those, which means I need to add a new element here. So that starts the 4 minutes. We'll hit some of these maybe these base bosses here. So you got which one's here in the middle? Armand, we'll start over here and work our way across. We might actually have enough 8s to be able to harvest that stuff up and finish upgrading our ships tonight after this. Then I got to focus on the weaponry, which would be nice. Like I say, just get everything set up, tanks and stuff. I may actually get rid of one of those battle barks and bump it up to another battle jump. All right. Has it started yet? Nope. I guess we'll go hit this guy. You know, it seems as though we get more rogue waves traveling in frigates than you do other boats. Maybe it's just me, but it seems to be that way. Oh, talk about a big miss. Now, this is one of the things that can get me on this particular mission going against Armand is if you come up, you do any, any kind of damage to him and it don't take much, he takes off and he just runs the whole time. Just takes off running. Oh, I think he's in a brig, it looks like. Stick around here a little bit. I talk about a big miss. Always behind the wave. There we go. See, we should be able to have multiple weapon types like they do on here. I mean, you're seeing broadsides and you're seeing torpedoes. So if the enemy can utilize all decks with various weapons, we should be able to do that too. I think, but that's just my thinking on it. Hopefully that's something we're going to see with that system with our officers in season 3. I think that'd be a cool addition into the game to be able to have your primary and secondary decks set up with various weapons, just like the NPC. Oh, snap. About got took out right there. Just shooting wildly, waiting on a hill here. Man. You know what? We'll take this course fleet out here too. I'm just glad he stopped running. Usually you got to chase him down, and I had to start using torpedoes on that one for a longest time because he'd just freaking run the whole way, but luckily it wasn't up in that top quadrant. Alrighty. Looks like this one here's ready. Yeah, the Moonshiners is ready. That's why keeping Ouroboros armor on the ship, just it heals you up, man. You don't have to sit there and go back to bank and all that. Oh, sharpshooters. Not what I was trying to do, but hey, it'll work. So what I usually do is I'll come up here and I try to get a shot in on each of them. And then I'll break off and I'll actually go hit the main Moonshiner. Because if you take out the fleet first, he will go immune and you miss out on the actual moonshine, which is the currency I'm really wanting. I've got everything else I need off of this stuff, so there he is. Just about to the hell till start putting off that depth charge, so I need to stay just a little bit further away. We got a good Samaritan on the scene over there. They're gonna pop him a shot and take off, it looks like. We got all the chests. All right, let us see if I can now buy my Thunder Dragon cannon. Still messed up. I think that they've put a cap on that thing because there's no reason I shouldn't be able to buy one. I can buy everything else. Apparently we've washed into Cooperative. If it was nearby, sure, but where's he at? Yeah, well, you ain't aggressive enough. I'm not hunting after you. Let's see. Fast travel. Looks like Bertrand's up. Still can't fast travel. Get that crap off there. There we go. They may have already taken him down. No, he's still here. It's just a Chorister ship. turned around here. I'm going to have to go pick up some more contracts here. I do wish that they had it so we could come in somehow or another and pick up our like plunder contracts and things like that from the Helm office without having to go to shore. That would be pretty cool. You can pick up some of like your buyouts and stuff like that from different islands, but as far as I know, the only way to access those other contracts, double check through here. Yeah, nothing there. Yep. Yeah, so this is kind of what been working on here and kind of why. There's a lot of various ways that you can do your grind, but typically what I'm looking at is I want to get as many of those smuggler marks up as I can in case they decide to fix this pinnacle store or make it so you can buy more than 5 dragon cannons. That's where mine started activating. I've heard other people say that. I've heard other people say they've purchased over 12 of these things and have had no issues. So maybe there's not a limit, but it seems to me that if you're going to have issues, it's going to be after you buy your 5th, and then you're going to start having issues. But if you're not having issues with it, then hey, you're one of the lucky ones. Okay, let's hop on over here to the office. I need to queue some stuff up over in Talak as well, I think. I tell you what, it gets like crazy expensive rolling up those weapons. I've spent probably 27 million in the last 2 days rolling freaking weapons for these ships to get them to 15s. It's just insane. Okay, no more rogue plunders yet. We do have a few hunts. Run to the restroom and it should be reset by that time. I'll be right back. All right, I apologize for that, guys. Sometimes you just gotta go. Okay, so they're still not ready. I'm gonna pick up these roving missions here. And typically I'll just try to snag any kind of old contract that's nearby one. Alright, let's see where we're at. There's one here. one there, and I'm not sure this one's at up there. Yeah, so we can just start right here. We'll start here. Simply because there's a quick way to hunt. We'll just hunt here, and then we'll go hit those liaisons. All right, there ought to be a liaison right here somewhere. There it is. Far enough up. I think that signal will hit. All right, there's that one. There's another one right here. Turn. There's another smuggler mark. Like I say, just kind of running around hitting these things, kind of focused on your farm, guys. Y'all should be able to knock out smuggler marks, even in Tier 1. I mean, I know it doesn't pay as much and all, but I get a lot of requests from a lot of new players looking for quick ways to do it. And if you'll run this stuff, even if you don't need those aspects of some of the stuff at the moment, just you got to find a grind that you kind of enjoy, something you'd like doing. One thing that I am going to start doing is supposedly some of these chests carry monster teeth. I've always pretty sure that the teeth just came from the monster pickup itself, but I've been hearing that some of the chests that you pick up from the Zamaharabus from the sea people may have teeth in it. So there is an event coming up here on when is that? Yeah, September 6th. So that may be something I might look into. Now, I do believe Manic Moonshine ends after this week, guys. So starting on the 19th, I don't see it back up here. So make sure you run it. If you haven't gotten those ash breakers, it's going to be a good idea to start farming that stuff out. As you can see, like whether you're hitting the main fleet here, these little side missions here, you're going to have a good equal chance to get stuff. You do get more chests running the convoys. You get more moonshine itself running the other one. But it all depends on what's you enjoy doing the most in the game. So let's see if we can hit this guy here. All right, and then our next one was right here. Now, when you're up here, watch out for campaigning ships, and they'll have a solid white sail. The ones with solid white sails, these are going to carry brandy. And the brandy, you can take and sell for silver early on, pretty heavy over at Common Grove. So something to keep in mind when you're running through this type of stuff. If you're up in this northern quadrant here, coming along, there's a major route that runs right through here. If you're running that route, see where it's at right there? You're going to come across those brandy ships. And it's just campaigning where y'all ship with a white sail. Alright, there's 10 on that ship. There's our liaison. We'll go ahead and hit him here. Pick up the rest of the stuff. There's 11 on that ship. There's some guns we can sell. Come from. Oh, I must not have hit the rover. Oh, it's further up by like a lot. Dosed. I wonder if that's the cosmetic set that has that freaking firework where it shows a hammer smashing a skull. That was like one of the main things I was looking at the stores. Like, man, that would be cool to actually have the firework on that. But I gotta work on my steering and shooting. You always got to leave at least one to survive. They can talk about the tail of the ship come through and couldn't hit nothing when it was shooting at them. Uh, Blackwood, yeah. So there were some of the missions that they're reporting have been glitched. Now, I haven't had any issues with any of his missions. I think there was one in season. Man, it might have been season 3. I don't recall now, but there was something. It might have been season 3, whichever one it was with the brig. We picked up from him, and I'd had some issues, but I just left out of it and come back in and completed it, so I didn't have any other issues. But sometimes I don't know if people are having actual issues with the mission, or if it's that they're the problem with jumping off of the storyline. Let me just kind of start over. Problem with jumping off the storyline is there's certain aspects of this game that have to be opened at certain stages of the story. And I don't know if it throws it out of sync or if it's just you haven't reached that level of the storyline to open it up. That's why I say people really need to make sure they play all the way through the storyline. Even if it's after they get their first ship up to a 13 or a 15, go back and finish the storyline, because anything that new gets released, you have to finish the storyline in order to achieve the new objectives. Now, there was apparently some early on objectives where you had the veil, which is where you got to use that frigate and all that kind of stuff at the early stages. Now, from what I had heard from some people, is they actually had to have the frigate blueprint before that opened up to them. So we had the blueprints from having the gold for the cosmetics and stuff through you pass through the pass and all. So I don't know, man. I don't know if the missions themselves are screwed up or if it's just through the actual storyline. But I would recommend trying the storyline out first. Like I said, I've not had any issues with them, but I go over and pick up missions. It usually works fine for me. If I do have an issue with the mission, it's never really like just one or the other. It's always something that I've missed, or I'm not reading something quite right on it. But it wouldn't be unheard of though for there actually be a glitch within a mission though. So that does happen. It seemed like it was season 1. We had I don't even remember the name of the boss, but there was a boss that would appear over there in Talak, just south of Talak, and you had to fight him, and you had to go in and defeat him within a certain amount of time and get the guy's jacket or something. But people were having issues where it just kept recycling the boss, kept recycling and recycling. And a lot of times it was because when they would get the final kill shot, or someone would get the final kill shot, they were outside of the radius area. So now what they've done is they put a timer on there, so you have a certain amount of time that you can be out of the radius of the mission effect area. And while that timer can be kind of a pain in the butt when you're trying to lose an aggro or something, it does come in handy if you're battling a mission and you happen to slide out of bounds right as the mission completes. Used to, it didn't count that you completed anything if you went outside that boundary right as it completed. So those would be some of the ideas I would say to definitely check. I can look at Blackwood and see what he's got real quick, but there was one mission last couple of weeks. I forget the name of it, but it's the one where we got to go blow the ships up around Euston and then take out Gear Valat, and maybe it was a Chete or whatever his name is. I forget all the names that they had, but there were certain missions for that, and they kept popping up in there. I mean, they just kept coming in, and I kept running it because they kept paying me guild points and pieces of 8. So, I don't mind remodeling missions when they have a good payout. But it looks like they've got that fixed. At least on mine, I'm not seeing it on her anymore. So, but you can still pick up the old missions, Dispelling Shadows. If you're running into needing an actual mission, then it's probably locked behind something in the game. Bring up our journal here. So if you look up here at the top of the journal, you have like the 3 lines, and this will have like your side quests and contracts and things like that in it. Well, the next tier over, it looks like a sun with like a half skull or something under it. It's not going to let me go to it because it's locked out for me because everything's completed. But if you had something, it's going to look over there. You're going to be able to look right in there and be able to see it. It's the second one over here from the left. And it's going to show your main mission lines, and you got to get those done. Those are the ones you have to get done. And then, of course, you have investigations you can do. You have the bounties you can run. Then you have the, your Indian Ocean activities. Instead of looking around over there for stuff, you can just kind of flip through here, and it tells you how much time or how far away, how much time until it starts, or how much is time until is left in it, type of deal. So this is what it's going to show there, and your world tiers, and then of course treasure maps. I don't typically bother with these, but I have been slowly. If I happen to hit an island and I have one, I'll go find it real quick, because I think 10 treasure maps gets you 1 smuggler token, so it's worth it for that to complete that. Looks like I need to quiet down a little bit and get back to playing here. Let me move some of this stuff over. Let's see what we got in these boxes here. I think anything worth really getting out of most of these types of boxes I've pretty much already pulled, so definitely looking forward to some of the newer convoys coming through, like that Dark Tide Lullaby. I want to get that new torpedo off of it. Oops, so that. Yes, sir. I hope to help you out in the game, man. And that's another thing too, is we have the newer build the videos that have come out, but keep in mind those that you see from last year, years season 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Well, 1, 2, and 3 of last year. I didn't play season 4, but yeah, you can find a lot of builds that are still relevant in the game at the earlier stages. So definitely make sure you take advantage of those. I can show new builds that we have out now, and most people will be able to grind to them, or at least toward getting stuff on it. But I also try to remind people that there's some other build videos out there for the basic level stuff to get you started off on. And I've showed some videos doing that in the past, and the Badar is probably one of my favorite beginner ships. Not the best, but one of my favorites to play around with, depending on what type of player mood I'm in that day. Let's get some cannonballs here. Okay. So when you're playing in a pair like this, everything that Sirius has hit already, I'm queued to receive a chest on, or have already dropped the chest on, so I can go straight in toward the boss. I don't have to worry about trying to get a shot on those ships. For those who are kind of new to farming, as long as you're in a team and your teammate is already getting some hits on that stuff, you typically will have some crates waiting on you. At the very least, you don't have to go and hit the small ships. You can attack the main boss. Turn, baby. That chest is a pretty good ways out there, I think, according to... I think I'll go ahead and see if I can snag it. It's be enough time to grab it and get back. Oh, yeah. Oh man, you've definitely been busy. Sounds like you hit all the main ships. I don't think the Manic got taken out. You got a real small window. There we go, we got him. Typically, if you don't have him down first, you got like about a 10-second window of being able to grab him or finish him off. I think that's an actual ship. That ain't a player. You're gonna say these all over me, but that's the actual enemy. Yeah, we'll go ahead and sink him. Absolutely. That actually the build off of those basilisks. That, as far as I know, that originally came from Sirius here. He's put out. I'd be honest, I just never cared much for culverins, but he was telling me about these. I'd used Heaven's mandates and stuff in the past, but I was working on a mandate build, and they put me on these Basilisk 3s, and the amount of damage they do is fantastic. Those urban great guns, like I say, they have about hit for hit about the same amount of damage as the Basilisk, but you miss. If you miss big, and I miss a lot with those things. So I figure if I'm not hitting it, it's not doing me any good, especially even if it's hitting for quite a bit more. But it was negligible, the amount, and I just can't hit with them. But just once in a while, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and take this Caribou out if I see him, but don't see it. Now let's go, brothers. But yeah, so you'd like to, well, I was like put a lot of different build ideas out there, and typically by the time we end up getting back up with people, we'll see where they've come in off of that build, and they've ended up, giving some ideas and some things to do of their own, especially when it comes to ascensions and stuff. I like the burning effect on here. To me, burning is probably one of my favorite damages in the game. I've only seen the reactive armor for explosives so far, so this seems to work pretty good. And so I kind of doubled up on burning on everything, and it does a great job with the Trinian furnace stall, and then of course it's setting the ablaze effect. It really does quite a bit of damage. Yeah, combustion. So it's just when I start looking at explosives, it's hard for me to not use the schooner, because I mean you're looking at such a huge boost, especially on the broadsides of anything with any combustor explosive. I end up using the schooner on those. Been trying to get, like I said, using the large ship, wanting to use it more. We waited for it forever, so it's kind of hard not to use it. But my schooner, pound for pound, is probably my strongest build right now. The one I use, the Reaper with Bombard 5s, I always use. But really, you could use a really good explosive culverin probably on those, and they would probably do pretty decent too. From what everyone seems to be using on that is the pick threes. Honestly, if you're just looking for the highest DPS amount, um, there's over with Sirius is saying he's got a build. I don't mess with Garud as much, but he's got a build over there. He uses a long gun 5, and as far as I know, it's still the hardest hitting cannon in the game when it's built out right. The long gun 5 is, and he uses that on the front. I think he pulled away from the Garuda completely there, or not the Garuda, the pick threes there toward the end. And ended up going with those. I think he's got some of the pick 3 builds, so. But yeah, when I used mine, I just had the Picaray 3s on there. And the reason I used that is because I was used in PvP at the time, and it was the OP weapon used in that. But like I say, a lot of your standard guns like that long gun 5 or bombard 5, they can actually be upgraded to a harder hitting weapon than anything you're going to find in the game at this stage currently. So definitely don't overlook those either. Now, when it comes to the culverins, it seems to be like the Basilisk 3s are really about the best way to go. You can build culverin 5s that have a really low DPS put, and built them every which way I could think of, and I just never really could squeeze out enough stuff out of them to justify sticking around with them. I ended up just salvaging them back out to get what materials I could out of it. But the Basilisk 3s, they've been hitting pretty nice for me. All right, let's see if we got some forks ready to go. Oh, me. I gotta find something here. All right. I don't think I ever did queue that stuff up to lock. Yeah, it gets pretty warm. It's actually we're at kind of in a cooling phase. It's been in the upper 80s here the last week, which has been kind of nice. But that came after a bunch of rain. But yeah, it gets hot here in Florida, man. It's humid, just probably not as bad as it is, say like Mississippi or something like that. I hear it gets miserable out that way with the heat and stuff. So it is not the. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we had about 2 weeks where it said the real feels was 103, 106, and it was pretty hot, but it's cooled back down. I mean, say usually this time of season, if it starts to get real hot in the hundreds here, we start looking at a ton of hurricanes coming in. So the fact it's been kind of slow and cool here has been kind of a blessing to us because we don't have to worry about them storms landing on us too much unless it gets real hot. We'll go over here and check the lockout. So I just still didn't see anything up on that map. During Milton, I was here during, what was the name of that? Hurricane Michael. I'm not sure what Milton was. But yeah, I was here for Michael. I watched it roll straight in on Bay County. It was fun, if you want to use that word for it. We'll buy some stuff from the store here in just a minute. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure which Milton was. Last one that hit right where I was at was Hurricane Michael, but I'm usually here for all the hurricane seasons. I don't usually leave. Not because people like to get washed away by hurricanes, just because I don't like to leave my stuff, because for every person that leaves, you got 5 more that stick around looking for stuff to steal. So. That might have been that one that hit over with the Big Bend area there. But there's been so many over the last few years that hit, but this is kind of hard to see. I remember Hurricane Hugo from when I was a kid, and then Hurricane Michael. And I remember hearing about Hurricane Katrina. I was living in Indiana at the time. So, some crazy stuff. But Michael was about the worst I went through. And I mean, we sat through the storm, but as soon as the roads cleared up, jumped in the RV and left. You know what I mean? I was gone for about 7, 8 months. Let them start rebuilding infrastructure and come back into Florida from there. But that was a pretty nice thing to be able to do. But yeah, the weather out here has been actually rather reasonable. Hadn't been too hot. We had some hot days, but nothing like what you're talking. Let's see. Nope, still nothing there. Man, I guess we'll have to go hit some bosses. Seems like they've put this on an hourly rotation where it's now on the hour and not an hour when you last done it. Seems like I could be wrong. We'll try that. We got about 7 minutes left of this hour, it looks like. Somebody's running this moonshiner fleet. I'll pop down there and see if we can snag something off it. Get it shot and we'll sit off to the side and watch them. Okay, we got our shot. Now it's the other guy's turn. Nah, I'm not going to do them that way. I've been done that way a lot. Turn, baby. I do kind of like the purple and black they're running though. It's not too bright. That's kind of cool. You would think that they would give us those cosmetics after running this mission so many times. But I hear a lot of explosions going on. And this is where you start getting people want to run around in front of you, banking into you, and all that kind of stuff, like says against American squads. But hey, I'm glad I didn't spin my flags on it. Usually I'll test the test flag on a buoy. If everyone in the world shows up, I just run theirs. I don't typically use one of my own anymore. Mostly because I've actually lost interest in the middle of farming this thing a few times. It ramps up and it starts to take way too long. Then you're running around trying to chase this thing down. I typically will park and wait for it to come to me. I get tired of waiting. They'll chasing me across the ocean, man. So brigantine is not exactly easy to run down. Come on, fog. Somewhere up here. There we go. All right, we'll have to try and get closer. Usually it'll explode one more time. Take everybody out when they come up for the chest. Look, that's the border. Ooh. The Venomous Vengeance. I'm not sure which one that is. Is that the one that has to do with the... Heck, man, if you're on game, jump in real quick, and we'll make you the party leader so I can read the details of it. That'd be the easiest way. My guess is that's got something to do with what La Peste, I'm assuming, because it has to do with venom or snakes. But I'm not sure. It could be a Zang mission. Seemed like there was some that had us doing plunders on some locations too. So it's hard. There's a lot of missions, but yeah, you could add me on there and join up and share the mission over in a group and be able to see what you got, man. You're shooting at me. Yeah, that's one of the things is trying to remember what a mission is called. There's so many of them that get reused as far as like the names and stuff, or they'll sound familiar. Really, the easiest way is say joining up, sharing the mission over, and see what you got. I know there was one a while back that had something to do with the pest, but I don't remember even what the name of it was, and there was quite a few people having issues with it. But we did figure one of them out here a while back. I don't recall what it was, so. Well, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see. Yeah, we got another gun rail Smitty. Now you can take those to salvage if you got too many of them. And when you salvage it, you have a pretty good chance of getting some deep plate iron or deep iron plates, however, whatever they call it. But it's the actual plate stage of it. So, good way to get some of that stuff if you're looking. We don't put our food out there. Don't need that. Don't need that. All right. See if they got some missions ready. Or use contracts. And add requests on Ubisoft. Let me look here. Looks like one's trying to come through. There we go. See here. All right, so we got Picasso, other Picasso, Preemie, and Dillis. Right, as soon as he gets loaded in, we'll move him to lead here so we can see what he's got. His missions. Let's see. I see a rhythmic retrieval as your next mission for your main line. Securing the pirate round and receive a cut of spoils. And that looks like There's a voices from the past mission up here too. There's rhythmic retrieval. In fact, there's a couple. Let's see what we can find. Okay, nothing on that. Okay, it's not showing his mission line there. We'll go check this spot. Maybe there's something over here at this fast travel at Verona Falls we're supposed to pick up to complete this. Not seeing a dead drop or anything. It's not really giving any more mission line. Does it show anything on your map, man? Is there any highlighted areas on your map? Can you mark it using your right joystick? You know, just kind of place a marker on it so we can see where it's showing. Because it almost seems like it's a broken mission. Like you'll have to abandon it and then re-pick it back up. Seeing nothing on the island. I thought there was a mission that went in behind a waterfall. I wonder if this is it. I don't know if this is the area for that mission. Let's see. Maybe it's a tier 2 only mission. Does it have a restriction on your journal showing it's only for tier 2? I'm not seeing anything here. This is all it's showing on there. It says there's supposed to be a pirate round, securing the pirate round. It's not showing a location to actually go hunt it down. It should be a fleet. Should be showing up, but I'm not seeing the fleet. Try to cancel the mission out and then reload it. Murderface. See if that'll refresh the mission. All you gotta do is go in and go to your journal, go to the mission itself, and you would hit your X button and then unfollow or remove it. It's not going to let me remove it because it's shared over. So there's an objective location here at St. Anne, but he didn't actually have any continuation here. Yeah, it's showing him as the completion point, so it's got to be a broken mission. Yep, no problem, man. Yeah, definitely make sure you report it and make sure you write down the mission name. How long you been stuck on this? To said it could show up next time you log into the game. Could be potentially something within the seasonal release. Also, I don't know. I know there's some content that comes out when it actually releases in the calendar, so it could be whatever boss is needed isn't in the game yet. I don't know. That'd be odd for them to do that, but it wouldn't be unheard of either. So. Oh, so it's been messed up a few days. Yeah, I would definitely be reporting it. Make sure you report that mission name. What does your other one say in the journal? Oh, come on now, hit the wrong buttons here. Voices from the past. Does it give you any kind of indication? Are the two tied together? Set it as your main and see what it does. It could be this one here has to be done on that other tier. Go ahead and put in a vote. Go over to tier 2. It should kick us a vote, and we'll be able to see if it'll let us complete it over there. Usually the storyline missions can all be done over here in this one unless it has specifically stated it has to be in tier 2, which there's not many of them that are actually out there like that. But like I say, I don't know. If it's saying tier 2, to make sure we get the right tier, we'll give it a try. No, it's rhythmic retrieval is the name of it. And then he's got this other one here that's not technically showing up there, but it shows up off to the side. It's called Voices from the Past. It may be... Okay, well, we're in one, so it should allow it to operate. It's just weird it's not giving... I mean, it's giving absolutely nothing as far as, like, what the mission is. That's what's getting me on this. I'm not seeing it load up anything as far as the location to go to. Zoom in a little closer. Double check. It seemed like the pirate round had something to do with taking out certain ships, if I recall, but it's been a while back. But yeah, I definitely don't see those, so that's definitely something that you're going to want to put in a bug report on, and maybe they can get it fixed. All right. Check our stuff here. I think I got some 8s ready to be picked up. Hey, no problem, man. Wish we could have got it solved for you, but usually it seems like here lately, it's usually something within the tier system, but it doesn't sound like that's what the issue was here. It sounds like there's an actual glitch, so. It's not quite to 610 yet. That one there's ready. I think I can get some of my upgrades done too now. It's not quite there. Fund everything. Well, nope, that's not the ship right. I don't know if there's enough there or not. I forget what that final upgrade cost. It might be 30,000. Let's see. We ain't got to worry about the final because we're not even all the way up to the top yet. Yeah. Okay, let's see. And we're back at square one, having to build up more 8s. So, but we're almost there. We got one more upgrade, I believe it is, on that bark. And 3 more on the other, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 6 of 7. And then we got 4 more on this one. So, it's getting there. We'll have everything upgraded, ready to rock and roll. Well, I'm going to hop off here, guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening. And definitely make sure, if you're part of Discord, be checking in to those events. We do have quite a few guys working on events here, and as we talked earlier in the stream, sounds like they've got some great ideas, so be expecting some more of that fun stuff stuff we've always enjoyed doing to start really ramping back up. We'll catch everybody later and have a wonderful weekend.